In the lens of globalization, international co-production isn't something new. According to Stephen Fellows, a film data researcher from 1990s to 2018, about 10% of film production in the world are made with involvement of at least 2 countries. And mainly European countries such as Belgium, Switzerland, France, and Germany are those countries that involve with co-production. And closer at home, Indonesia and Philippines had been reportedly actively roll out international co-production. And these collaborations are more oftentimes made possible through film markets at international film festival. However, this is rather rare for Malaysian film productions, because most of the time they are production at home instead of collaborating outside. And with that in mind, in this episode of Director's Cut, we are going to speak to 2 filmmakers, one Malaysian and one Thailand, Edmund Yeo from Malaysia and Kong Pahurak from Thailand, to talk about their long-time collaborations in a number of films since their study in Japan a decade ago. So let's welcome the 2 filmmakers, Edmund from Malaysia and Kong from Thailand. Hello, welcome.
Hello, hi.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, let's start with things that happen around us at the moment. Since COVID-19 had been disrupting the industry, I believe film industry in Malaysia as well as in Thailand had been affected. And as we know, at the time of we are doing this recording, about 190,000 cases of COVID-19 were reported in Malaysia, and Malaysia had just entered its MCO for the second times. And in Thailand, on the other hand, kind of like having the lesser number, about 14,000 of cases were reported in Thailand. So probably, can you quickly walk us through on how this COVID-19 situation had disrupted your industry? Yeah, maybe we can start with Edmund.
So I mean, like the rest of the world, we have been heavily affected by the COVID-19. So what I know was that after the MCO last year, many productions they resumed shooting. They started shooting again. I know a couple of filmmaker friends who had been working on short films and feature films. A couple of movies were shot during the second half of the year last year. So I think things are looking quite okay. We were going through SOP as well. Everyone had to wear masks. We had to limit the number of people on in the team. But of course, now that MCO2 had happened, many of these shoots had been interrupted. So yeah, it's very horrifying because like right now we are having like 3,000 cases a day. So yeah. I know of a few friends who were shooting their movies and all of a sudden they had no choice but to delay their shoot, to wait it out. So we don't know when is MCO going to end. Right now, things just look very serious. So, and of course, the saddest thing is also that most of the cinemas in our country are closed. So we can't really go to the cinemas to watch any films at all. It's very tough.
Yep, fully understand. Okay, Thank you for sharing with us about the situation in Malaysia. I guess most of the audience in front of TV got the idea about how serious it is at the moment in Malaysia. So I guess we should somehow comply to SOP in order to reduce the number of COVID-19 in Malaysia. But closer at home in Thailand, the number of cases are kind of very less comparatively to Malaysia, with about 14,000 cases. So how is your industry over there? Was it highly affected, just as Malaysia?
I think it's not that different from Malaysia. I think we can still say that it's highly affected, because from what I heard, most of the project that's going on right now got greenlit before COVID-19. So there are almost none or very a new project that happened after that. So what we are still shooting right now is like the old stuff that we did like last year or 2 years ago. But I don't think the future prospect is that good. No one want to put a lot of money in making film right now. But maybe there's some, especially in cinema.
Yeah.
So most of the production right now is more like a internet series or television series.
Zooming out, let's talk about your collaboration, because both of you had known each other for about 10 years time. It's kind of like an anniversary for both of you for celebrating friendship together for the past 10 years. So maybe two of you can talk about how this friendship were developed and also being maintained for the past 10 years by working on first short film and then later on to several feature-length films such as Rivers of Exploding Durians, Malu, and one latest film that shot in Japan recently.
I mean, we have known each other since since 2008. So it's almost 13 years. Because I went to Japan in 2008. I went to Waseda University to do my master's. So Kong was technically my senior. He was there like one or two semesters before me. So we got along pretty well, but we didn't really work together until a couple of years later. So our first collaboration was exactly 10 years ago for this short film of mine called Last Fragments of Winter. So that led to more things. And so from Last Fragments of Winter, Kong worked on this film that I produced for Wu Mingjin called Second Life of Thieves. Then did my debut film, River of Exploding Durians, then Malu, and my latest film. So yeah, it's been a pretty full collaboration.
Yep, got it. Okay, I believe somehow there must be some kind of gel that put you both together. I was told you both love to play video games and also like to read literatures. So that are kind of the hobbies that gel both of you together. So soon afterwards, when we are back, we'll be talking to them about how this relationship was later on being developed into more creative productions and creative collaboration. So stay tuned on TBS, we inspire your world. Welcome back to Director's Cut on TBS, We Inspire Your World. This is a program that features filmmakers and animators to discuss on their films and their worldview. And with us today, we have both Edmund from Malaysia and Kong from Thailand, a long-time collaborators since their student years back in Japan, and extended to a few feature-length films such as River of Exploding Durians, Malu, and a recently shot film in Japan. And so we had been promising our audience to talk about how these collaboration were gelled together. And so I just mentioned like video games, literatures, and even probably about Buddhism. So maybe any of you would like to start with.
Okay, so I think the relationship between a director and a cinematographer is really crucial in a film. I mean, basically, I think the cinematographer, DP, he serves as the eyes for the director, and so I think the communication between them is like highly essential for the success of a film. So Kong and I, we share a lot of similar interests. I mean, we like films, we like cinema, we like literature, we like anime, we like so video games. There are a lot of things that we share the same interest. We don't necessarily like the same books or the same films or the same video games, but we do have this thing that allow us to click. So it makes communicating much easier.
So it is the communication process. Like if you want to have any reference about the film or the book or the video games, then you can talk about that. All right. But I also believe that Buddhism somehow implanted in you since you were younger, also shaped your views about your life and even your take about film. Because as I observe in your films, it's very calm in a way. The visual itself, the way it's blocked, the way it is being presented to the audience in terms of editing, is most of the time I can feel the peace and calm in there. So probably you can share with us about how this philosophy of life changed or even shaped your life.
It is possible because most of the films that we collaborated on, they are very personal works of mine. So most of my works, that are very personal. I inject a lot of myself into it. So I'm sure my worldview, my philosophy, my way of life, my freedom, all these things are definitely in my films. And of course, I have a very Buddhist upbringing, as you can see from behind me. So I never paid too much attention to it. I wasn't very consciously trying to be Buddhist. But I'm sure that once we're personal with the story that we tell, there will always be traces of ourselves in the story that we tell. So I'm sure that that's what happened.
Okay, how about you, Kong? Did your upbringing as a Buddhist shape your worldview and even the way you make your film?
As a Buddhist, as a default, because our grandparents or parents, most of us are Buddhists anyway. But I don't think I have any kind of I didn't get any influence from Buddhism. But for me myself, I'm very interested in philosophy and in moral system, but not in terms of religion. In terms of more something more than that. Which of course, religion is also a part of it. I thought about how we should make our living, how we should live our life. What is the reason behind that? We're the same. It's the same core as religions or religions, I guess. But for me, I don't see it as one. I see it as like a bigger thing, like a big moral system or big existential issue. That's why, as we talk about in our break, I'm getting interested by Imam Bergman's work because he also finds the same thing. Although his film is very Christian, although anti-Christian.
Yes.
But I see some similarity and some kind of the same question that we try to answer.
Back to Japan, because I believe somehow living in Japan around the same time, around the same place, that somehow also change or even shape the way you see about the world, your living itself. So did that change your way to see things like, oh wow, it's so exciting out there?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I mean, definitely the couple of years that we spent in Japan influenced us, influenced me definitely, because of course I've loved Japanese culture. Having grown up watching a lot of anime, reading a lot of manga, watching a lot of Japanese films and TV series. So there's always this love for and a fascination for Japanese culture. But of course, being afar and actually staying in the place is very different. So once you experience the country itself, you kind of know the rhythm as again like the rhythm that they go through, the passing of time that they have that we don't have. How they mark each season. Yes, and of course the various bookshops, the art house theaters, DVD shops, rental shops. So we had all these things. We have access to all these things, and it made me realize, the how wide the world is and how much this untapped possibilities that we had before I came to Japan. So I think that definitely shaped us. Yeah.
Okay. How about Kong? Because you were working with Edmund as DP. Because most of the time, living in Japan probably can somehow change your view or even shape your view. And then you have to work as the DP for him. And in so many films, most of the time you are working as the DP for him. Did that collaboration turn out well as a DP?
At first, I say I never thought myself as a DP. So for me, it's like, when we talk about the script together, I always think of it as, what if I'm gonna do if I'm the director?
Yeah.
And I try to make some I try to empathize with his script. What do he think? What kind of visual does he want? Something like that. So I think when we talk about script, we almost never talk about the visual that much. We talk a lot about the place we want to shoot, about the plot, about the feeling of the thing, but we're not talking about, okay, this shot gonna be like a long dolly. That almost happened at the places we're gonna shoot just before. So I think it's not like organic. It's like two people who interested in film talking with each other. It's not like director and DP. That's one.
Yeah. So it's more into the story itself instead of talking the technical stuff together.
Yeah, because I hate technical stuff. I really hate it.
Okay. A moment ago, you were mentioning about having the POV from Kong as the DP. So we'll be talking later about how these two male filmmakers having the same POV, but making film about the female character struggle. So let's stay tuned. I will talk to you very, very soon on TVS We Inspire Your World. Welcome back on TVS Director's Cut. Together with us today, we have Edmund from Malaysia and Kong from Thailand. They both have been working on a lot of projects such as Malu, which had been premiered in Tokyo International Film Festival late last year. Okay, just now we have been talking about the female characters, but just before we enter that, just put you on the cliffhangers, we would like to talk about the blocking, because I find that since your collaborations are very much on the visual storytelling itself, blocking somehow play a paramount role in telling the stories. And I find that your blocking is always very intriguing. So probably you can talk about how did you work out on the blocking of your scenes?
Okay. I mean, for most of my films, I always enjoy the process of blocking because I have a really bad habit. I don't storyboard because I feel that it kind of limits my creativity. So what I prefer is to make things more organic and to figure out the blocking while we are on location. So that's when we, with the cast and crew, we figure out like what's going to happen in this scene. To show to tell the story visually. So we always believe in this show but not tell philosophy. I think blocking is a very crucial element in visual storytelling. In a way, it's sort of like lost art because some people they might have sort of overlooked the importance of how you block. So Kong and I, we generally before each scene we will figure out the blocking. We'll let do the blocking, what they would do, and then while they do it, we'll figure out like what shots do we need, the courage, maybe I'll get inspired, so that's when it's not like a brainstorming session between me, Kong, and the actors, like the actor will do something and we're like, oh, that's great, why don't I go for an extreme close-up of her hand or an extreme close-up because I like what they did, so it's very organic.
How about you, Kong? I believe you had a lot of creative inputs in terms of blocking for Edmund in his film.
I think it's because I work with quite a lot of directors, both in Thailand and maybe in foreign countries. I think everyone had a different kind of the way to tackle with the visual. A lot of directors already have like the very concrete idea of what kind of shot he wants. But I think working with Edmund is quite easy because it's more fluid. We can just come up with anything interesting on the spot. Which I think that's quite nice, and that's make it somehow more special and of course more organic.
Okay, just come back to the cliffhanger that we had promised our filmmaker or our audience to listen on just now. Since both of you have been collaborating a lot on female subject matters, or most of the time the films are driven by these female character struggles. Either they want to escape from their past or to reconcile with their past, for example. Okay, but how did you make sure you could actually stand on their feet and to write from their perspective or even shoot from their perspective?
Okay. I mean, some of the scripts that I've written, I've worked very closely with the main actresses. Like Aqerat, I was talking a lot with Daphne. For Malu, I was talking a lot with Mei Jun about, so it was more like interviewing, the way, how we do that while I'm making notes and doing the writing to ensure that I'm giving a realistic portrayal of a female character. Many of my stories is the same. Like I think my characters are interchangeable. I think they can be males as well. In fact, some of my main characters, like River of Exploding Durians, the teacher was meant to be male. In Aqerat, the main character was meant to be male. It's just that somehow along the way, I switched it to a female, and it made it easier for me to write. I think maybe in a way, like why for more than 12, 13 years of filmmaking, I like to go with female characters. Maybe in a way, I think it allows me more distance. So by having more distance between me and the character, it allows more space for imagination and creativity. I think if I'm using a male, I might start to project myself on the male character. I'm like, if I'm a guy, I would do this, so probably this guy would do this, so I think I might become too close to the main character. So that's usually something I try to avoid. But even so, I think many of the female protagonists in my films, they do possess some elements of myself.
So how about you, Kong? I believe you have been working a lot with a lot of female leads in your film.
Actually, I never had problem or thought that I have problem with, writing female character in my own films. And maybe it's like a reverse kind of thinking. At first, I never have any kind of problem. And then I read something from like the script writing handbook or something like that. And I think the writer summarized quite nicely. He said that because when you write a character, you don't have to think about whether they are male or female. They are human. We make a film about human. So, but I always did that. I mean, I had done that all along. So I never had a problem with switching between male or female characters. But for me, all of them is me. Maybe some part of me. So I think it's kind of the same as Edmund. We never try to like do something different. Even a female character, they still retain something that come from us.
Since our time is very little, but I guess probably a very, very short one, you can share with us or anything that you want to say to the audience, since it's very rare that we can capture filmmakers from the other part of the world instead of Malaysia itself. So very short one, any quick words that you would like to say to the audience before we wrap up for today?
Right. I think the beauty of filmmaking is that it transcends national barriers. So I do feel very scared when I hear people say like, this film from this particular place can only be made by storytellers from this place, because I feel that it's very limited, and I feel that it's very like why not? I feel that why we can tell stories of this place, of the people from this place, but we can also gather like perspectives and expertise from people from all around the world, so that we can learn from each other and so we can connect. I think that's one of the reasons why I work with Kong, because of our different cultures. So even though when he's shooting in Malaysia, he brings something different, like a different perspective to shoot our everyday lives. We should bring something fresh. I can't just say that, because I want to tell a Malaysian story, I only want like Malaysian people on my set. Malaysian film, Malaysian for Malaysians. I don't believe in that. I think that's a very limited viewpoint.
How about you, Kong? Do you have anything to say to the audience?
I think it's not different. I think it's like just don't overthinking it. Just do it. The thing that you want to do it first. It's not. You don't have to think about what kind of story you want to tell. You just tell it. And because film is kind of organic, you have to trust everyone that's helping you. And that's, I mean, a lot of the especially first-time director try to be very control freak, and that's why the film fail. But film is not like that. Film is like coming out with the one that the people that have the same kind of mindset and having a good time together. If you think about that, do you think you are like? And I think that's gonna be perfect. No matter what type of story you want to tell.
Yes, marvelous. I guess Kong was trying to say, telling stories that really matter to ourselves and just let it flow fluidly. I guess that is what we are going to wrap up for today's international co-production somehow enrich the film industry. Fluidity in terms of story, it can be female, male characters or geographical location or even cultural barrier shouldn't be the things that put into our mind when we are writing about it. Somehow, these collaboration that cross the borders complement each other's, be it the editors from France, music and producing by Japanese filmmakers, or visual from Thai filmmakers. So thank you very much for watching. And in the past episode, we have spoken to renowned filmmakers such as Yue, Nadia Hamza, and also some other filmmakers such as Muzamil, Makabas, Bebra, Putri, and Harry. So to watch those episodes that you have missed, you can check out on TVS YouTube channels. And for this episode, it has been produced by Nazwan, hosted, researched, and co-produced by yours truly. Thank you for both of you, and thank you for watching. Thank you very much.
Thank you.